Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to try and cut through some of the noise around a huge topic,
A very buzzy topic.
emotional intelligence. We've gone through a whole stack of sources, really focusing on the academic roots of EI.
hmm
And our mission, really, is to stop using it as this catch-all buzzword.
Yeah,
Instead, we want to define the 4 distinct trainable skills that actually make it up.
exactly. Because what the public often hears about are these big mixed models, like Daniel Goleman's framework, which is fantastic, but it includes personality traits,
All
competencies,
sorts of things.
all sorts of things. We're going to focus on the original ability model. It was developed by 2 psychologists, John Mayer and Peter Salovey, way back in 1990.
And they saw it differently.
They did. They defined EI as a pure cognitive skill set. The goal here is for you to walk away with a clear blueprint of what your brain is actually doing when it processes feelings effectively.
So our starting point, the baseline definition of emotional intelligence, or EQ, is what? It's the brain system for sensory input, really.
It's a feedback system for feelings.
Right. It's the ability to almost see feelings coming, to listen to the data they're giving you, and then, use or manage them in a smart way.
And that ability is just so fundamental to everything you do. I mean, high EI gives you this highly refined capacity to accurately see your own emotional landscape.
But also in others, which is key.
And equally critically, identify those emotional states in other people. This discernment lets you proactively adjust your own inner state, read social cues.
And that all leads to better communication, better collaboration.
Much more effectively, yeah.
Okay, so that system of emotional data processing,
Yeah.
that's what we need to unpack. It sounds incredibly sophisticated, but Mayer and Salovey broke it down into 4 skills.
4 sequential skills.
Let's start at the foundation then, because I guess if you miss this first one, the whole thing kind of collapses.
It completely collapses. We begin with the first pillar, perceiving emotions. This is the absolute bedrock of the entire model. It's the ability to simply detect feelings in faces, in voices, body language, pictures,
And crucially, in yourself.
and critically within your own physical state. Think of it as the emotional equivalent of having high-definition sight and sound.
It sounds so obvious when you say it like that, right? And I see I'm angry.
Yeah.
But I think the deep dive here is about how subtle this input can be.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not talking about someone screaming in your face. We're talking about nuance.
That's it, exactly. I mean, the research shows that people with high competence here are incredibly good at recognizing micro-expressions.
Those tiny flashes of feeling.
Involuntary flashes that last less than a quarter of a second. Think about a professional setting. We miss these nonverbal cues all the time. Subtle signs of confusion or doubt or even mild contempt in a colleague.
A slight tightening around the mouth or a glance away.
Exactly. And if you miss that perception step, you're trying to move forward in a negotiation or just a discussion without like half the data you need.
You're flying blind.
Pretty much. The sources suggest that the ability to accurately perceive these signals alone can give you a huge performance edge.
Really?
Yeah, some studies in sales environments show that high perceptual accuracy translates directly into higher success rates.
Why is that?
Because those individuals are just far better at predicting a client's unspoken needs or their concerns. It's not a soft skill, it's a data processing advantage.
That's a really powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so once that sentimental information is perceived, we move to the second pillar. This one is often, I think, misunderstood. Using emotions.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we align our, quote, hearts with our heads and make our moods work for us.
Yeah, and this is a very sophisticated application. Using emotions is the ability to, well, to generate, use, or even channel emotions to help with specific cognitive activities.
So it's about leveraging your feelings to prioritize and enhance certain kinds of thinking.
That's it.
So it's not just I have a feeling. It's I recognize this feeling and I'm going to consciously channel its energy. Can you elaborate on what's happening in the brain there?
Absolutely. The research is just so clear that mood induction dramatically affects how we process information.
Mood induction.
Shifting your mood on purpose. If you can consciously shift yourself into a more positive mood, or even just a neutral, focused mood, you make certain cognitive tasks easier.
Like what?
Like divergent thinking, creative problem solving. This is why brainstorming in an atmosphere of low-stakes playfulness is always more productive than one filled with pressure.
But the inverse has to be true as well.
Right.
Sometimes a more negative or focused emotion can be useful, right?
Exactly. You don't always want that positive creative mindset. Sometimes you need to pivot.
Okay.
When you recognize that you need a high level of critical detail, say You're proofreading a legal contract or analyzing a complex financial report, channeling a mood of heightened skepticism or even a little bit of anxiety.
A little anxiety can be good.
It can enhance your detail orientation and focus because those moods are biologically linked to careful, systematic processing. Using emotions is about pulling the right mental lever for the job at hand.
That brings us really nicely to the third skill, which is, this one feels like the most complex, understanding emotions.
It's a big step up.
Yeah, this moves beyond just recognizing a feeling or using its energy. This is about, what, emotional literacy, prediction.
This is where we comprehend the complex web of relationships between feelings. Emotions don't exist in a vacuum as these isolated data points. They mix, they flow, they change trajectory.
So understanding emotions is about recognizing these emotional blends, like the nervous excitement you feel before a big presentation.
Exactly that. Or realizing how one feeling transitions into the next.
Can you give me a specific example of that, an emotional sequence that people might misunderstand?
The path from, say, disappointment to despair is a classic one. A skilled emotional thinker can recognize when disappointment, which, often still has some hope in it, a desire to try again, when that starts to morph into genuine despair.
Which is more like cognitive shutdown.
Total shutdown. Helplessness. Understanding this means you can intervene early before the mood becomes debilitating. It's the ability to map that emotional terrain and predict where a feeling is headed.
For yourself and for others.
Both.
That prediction capability is fascinating. It sounds like the ultimate prerequisite for the skill I think everyone really wants, which is regulation. How do we go from mapping that terrain to actually, managing it?
Well, that leads directly to the fourth and highest level skill, managing emotions.
The peak of the mountain.
You could say that.
Yeah.
You've perceived the input, you've used the energy constructively, and you understand its likely trajectory. Now you have the capacity to actively modulate feelings.
In yourself and others.
And often indirectly in others, yes.
Okay, before we get into techniques, I want to bring up a challenge here.
Yeah.
What about the idea of toxic positivity?
Ah, yes. A very important point.
If we're constantly trying to manage our mood to be good or productive, are we just suppressing necessary feedback? Do these sources address the importance of negative emotions?
They do, and it's a vital, critical point. Management in this context is not the same as suppression or just forcing yourself to be cheerful. Negative emotions are essential data signals. Anxiety tells you a future threat might exist. Frustration tells you your current strategy isn't working. High EI management is about modulating the intensity and duration of that feeling, not eliminating it.
So instead of trying to kill the anxiety before a deadline, you use a management technique to bring it down from, say, a panic level, which shuts down your thinking brain, to a manageable level of focus energy.
Precisely. We see two main types of management strategies. There are what we call antecedent-focused strategies, intervening before the emotion fully develops.
Getting ahead of it.
And then response-focused strategies, which deal with the emotion once it's already there.
A key technique that's taught is cognitive reappraisal.
Reappraisal. Consciously reinterpreting an emotional trigger in a way that changes its impact. So instead of seeing a critical email as a personal attack,
Which is my first instinct.
it's most people's, you reappraise it as, this is useful feedback for improvement.
That shift alone feels revolutionary. I can see how effective management translates directly into success.
Absolutely.
Think about a high-stakes meeting where two sides are getting more and more frustrated. The person with high EI in this pillar isn't just controlling their own reaction.
They're influencing the whole room.
Yes, through skillful interaction. They might inject a bit of humor or shift the focus to common ground.
Effectively managing the collective mood by changing the environment. People skilled at this aren't just personally resilient, they become emotional leaders. They can navigate turbulence and keep groups focused on solutions, not on the conflict itself.
That really paints a picture of someone who's just incredibly effective. But here's the big question. This is where it gets really interesting. What if you're listening to this and you feel like you aren't naturally gifted in these four areas? Are we just stuck with the EQ score we have? What's the good news here?
The good news is, not at all. This is probably the most encouraging finding from all the research. Because Mayer and Salovey define EI as an ability, a skill set. It's fundamentally trainable.
It's not a fixed personality trait.
It is not. While some people might have a natural head start, the overwhelming majority of people can significantly improve their abilities across all four of these pillars.
How? How do we start chipping away at that? What are the methods?
The sources point to a few proven paths. First is mindfulness practice.
Okay.
That directly enhances the foundational skill of perceiving emotions just by improving your internal awareness.
Makes sense.
Second, formal education and training can teach you the kind of rules of emotional sequencing and blends that improves your understanding pillar. And third, exercise is focused on that reappraisal we talked about, or shifting focus.
The things you find in therapy or coaching.
Often, yes. Those directly strengthen the managing skill.
Yeah.
And the effort is absolutely worth the investment.
And we see that, right? We see that effort is directly linked to measurable positive outcomes.
Yeah.
It's not just about feeling better, it's about achieving better.
Absolutely. The correlations are clear and compelling. Higher EI often correlates with higher academic achievement.
Not because high EQ students are just smarter in the traditional sense.
Not necessarily. It's because they can manage the stress of learning, they can maintain focus, and they can persist through frustration.
And that same mechanism would apply professionally, I assume. Higher EI, higher professional success.
Yeah.
But why? What is that direct link to performance?
Again, it all comes back to cognitive efficiency. Our emotions and how we manage them directly impact our brain's ability to listen, learn, and perform complex tasks.
If you're emotionally dysregulated.
If you're distracted by anger or just overwhelmed by anxiety, your brain is preoccupied. It's using up all its processing power on that.
Right.
When you apply these 4 skills to get regulated, you free up those cognitive resources. You allow your brain to be a far more effective tool for solving problems and learning new things.
So what does this all mean for daily life? We've gone through perceiving, using, understanding, and managing. If you, listening to this, are currently grappling with a really complex project, or maybe you're struggling to generate a breakthrough idea, how does this model apply right now?
It connects directly to your cognitive function. And we can really lean on a profound insight from Peter Salovey himself here. He's the one who connected the state of your mood to the quality of your thinking.
Okay, lay it out for us. What was his conclusion about mood and problem solving?
He concluded that, generally speaking, people in good moods are better at inductive reasoning and creative problem solving.
Wow.
That one insight really confirms the value of this entire EI process. By skillfully applying these 4 abilities to move yourself into a better mood, you literally become a better, more efficient thinker.
That is such powerful evidence for why we should prioritize these skills. So consider this as you're listening. If better moods unlock better reasoning and creativity, how could you consciously apply this model?
The Mayer and Salovey model.
Right. Specifically, that skill of managing your emotional state moment by moment. How could that directly benefit your ability to tackle your most complex challenges this week?
Whether that's a technical problem or a creative one.
A technical problem, a strategic idea, anything. It's not just personal development, it's really the ultimate cognitive advantage.
It is the science of making your brain function at its peak efficiency.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the structure and application of emotional intelligence.